This video is for setting up a walk cycle so the feet don't slip. Sounds like a rap song. So, I have a very basic character here. I like to keep sometimes creating something that's very basic to get an understanding of how something works is probably the best when you're trying to learn or new to a certain subject matter. So, I have a very basic rig. So you can see here, I have legs, arms, head, kind of a basic setup here. I have IK controllers for the arms, which I have not used for this walk cycle. I mainly focused on the legs, which is why, because of the nature of this video, is feet slipping. So I have set up my rig to have the leg IK controllers and the move forward bone on one view layer for the armature. So I click on that I have it on that one just so it keeps things clear in my mind and I don't see all a bunch of extra things because sometimes extra things, depending on how someone's brain works, can be very confusing and overwhelming. So keep things simple and basic when you're learning. I am using the non-linear editor because I can set up a walk cycle and I can change settings here. So, two things to consider when creating a walk cycle that you want the feet not to slip. So, I'm going to show you the walk cycle and I'm going to show you one thing that is important, couple things important in the walk cycle. So I'm going to hit tab on my keyboard, which goes into action editor. You're able to edit this action here. Then I'm going to go to dope sheet and I want to make sure it's on action editor. I'm also in pose mode because I want to make sure in pose mode. And I'm going to show you my setup here. So you can see here, these are my controllers. And the way I made this walk cycle, I just typed in walk cycle poses and at increments, I just set my rig up to these very basic things here to get my walk cycle. These are very important, very handy to figure out how to set up a walk cycle to look like a walk cycle. I'm not really going to go into how to create a walk cycle, but that's what I used. So for a walk cycle to have feet not slipping, I have these two controllers. Now the feet will move back forward and backwards. Now those controllers or the feet have to be set up for, actually I'm going to show you in the graph editor here. So I have the Y location. So you can see here at this point, frame 0 to 15, that's halfway through my walk cycle. You can see it's a straight line. I do not have it set to Bezier curve. You want to make sure for a very basic setting, you want to make sure from this point to this point is linear. It doesn't go slow and then fast, linear, because you want it to move at a consistent rate. That is key, consistent rate. So you can see here, I click on that, and you can see that it moves at a consistent rate. And then this one here, on this foot, it's going to move back at a consistent rate based on here. You can see from here, 15 to 30, I have a consistent rate. Now for the walk cycle to be equal for each leg, I've noticed that you want to make sure you have it set up a couple ways. So right now I have my first keyframe on frame 0, and then the last one on frame 30. So when I go, say, because I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's 15 frames, segments of frames between the poses. So you can see that one, that pose is the same as that pose. It's just flipped as the same as this one here, and they're equal distant. And that's the key, is you want to make sure that you have everything set up that way. And if there's a little more if you're confused, I know that there's a video by Joey Carlino on YouTube, and I've watched a lot of his videos, and he does explain more in depth of the walk cycle. So I want to make sure this is set up like that. And then, because the reason you want to make sure that everything is good, because the cycle will repeat, and you want to make sure that each repetition is the same. That's the key. Each repetition is the same. So I'm going to go to, and then I'm going to go back to nonlinear editor. I'm going to hit tab to go back to normal mode. So if you're using the nonlinear editor and you go down here, frame start is 0, frame end is 30. It seems to work, but like sometimes it might be offset, where it starts on 0, on 1 and goes to 31, but you want to make sure it ends on 30. This is just, I have a 30 frame walk cycle. So when you have your walk cycle set up properly, the next step is fairly simple for the moving forward action. So I'm going to click on this on my bone. I already have, so I have it set up here. So now I don't talk very well sometimes, and my words get mungled up. So I have 2 keyframes, and then I have it set for linear extrapolation, which I can show what I did. And you can see here, I have no feet slipping. So I'm going to go into Dope Sheet. Actually, yeah, Dope Sheet would work. So I am mostly focused. So how to create this, I'm going to delete these keyframes. So I know that one cycle is from frame 0 to 15. So I'm going to click this. So this moves my rig back and forth. So you can see that. I'm going to hit Control Z. I have automatic keyframing set up. So if I move something, it creates a keyframe. And that is found under time lane, this thing here, auto keying. So you can turn it off and on. Auto keying is great for setting up poses, and then it creates a keyframe. You don't have to hit I, lock rock scale. So I have it set up that way. So I'm going to go back into Dope Sheet. So to start, to have one, I'm just hit I and location, because I'm only worried about location for this. Now you can do this in pose mode or edit mode, because as long as your root, or your origin is at the bottom right here, that's what you want. So I set that. So now I know my one walking cycle for this foot to stay in one spot, and this one goes over to here is 15 frames. So what I would like to do is click on this bone. I'm going to go Shift S and then cursor to selected. The reason I want to do that is because I'm using this as a reference point, because when this is walking over, I'll just show you. This is the reference point. So I'm going to go like that. I'm going to move. Yes, so this is the reference point. So you can see this foot here. When I move this way, I want that to be at that reference point. So I have here, I'm going to move. Sometimes you can zoom in. I'm just going to do it by hand. You can probably do it more calculation and accurate, but sometimes do it by zooming in on frame 15. I'm going to bring it to there. Sometimes you can kind of zoom in to make it in the middle of that bone. You can kind of, key would be there. And you can see that I can probably get that bone. So I need to move. That's the center of this bone here. So if I move it forward just a hair, I guess, and then you can always hit shift, move it, nope. So shift is doing something different. But the key is to kind of get it centered. Click there. So now I have it roughly centered, pretty close. So now I have, so when you can see here, this foot here stays in the same spot. That is key right here. It's in the same spot. Now I'm going to go to Graph Editor, click on these here. There's two ways of doing this, two ways to achieving this action here. You can go to Modifiers, Add Modifier, Cycles. This is okay. You just need to change one setting, is the after mode of this here. Repeat motion, repeat with offset. That will create a constant speed that this will move at. So you can see here, no foot slipping, no foot slipping. So you can see no foot slipping, which is awesome. I'm going to show you another way of doing that. Took me a while to figure that out. I watched the Joey Carlino video, which was really awesome. So I'm going to remove this cycles modifier. So I'm going to click. Sometimes you want to go and just hide all of these things. There we go. And then you go, oh, what was it? So Shift E. Here we go. Set F curve extrapolation. So Shift E, and then linear whatever that word is, extrapolation, and it does the same thing. Sets that curve to a linear extrapolation. So now if you're working with the nonlinear editor, I guess, save this action, if you go to dope sheet, so I'm going to save this to moving forward. So if you push down, go to nonlinear editor, you can see it's not working properly. So you have to make sure that's checked, and it's not working as you want. So if you're working with a nonlinear editor and you want to make sure that that is set up properly, I'm going to go Control Z, go back into Graph Editor. Now, when I have this bone selected, go to Pose, Animation, Bake Action. I have my animation set from 0 to 180. Only selected bones, pose, hit OK. And it did something that I was not expecting, but that's okay. Okay, there we go. So it is working there. And now I'm going to go back into Dope Sheet, push down, go back to Nonlinear Editor, so you can see. So that did not work as I expected. Control Z. So hit go back. Graph editor. So I want to Shift E. Here we go. Make cyclic. Take, because I know this worked before. Repeat motion with offset. There we go. And then before, no cycles. There we go. So there we go. It's moving there. Now pose, animation, big action. 0. Okay. I don't know why it's not working, but that's okay. Something to figure out. It's always nice when things kind of work before, but maybe I'm doing something. Sometimes if something is not perceived working, maybe I've done something wrong, or I need to figure out how to do that. But the focus of this video is to show that we made the forward action and no feet slipping. So I hope this was helpful. See ya.